Hello, everyone.
Hello, we are the Transpositions. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate everybody for stopping in. Who we got out there? We got My Unfinished Journey. We got Pragmatic Crystal dropping all of our links. Thank you so much, sweetheart. We got there's Ember. Ember's in the side chat, and Ember will remain in the side chat
Who?
even after. Did I ever grab your? Speaking of, did I ever grab your good news for this week?
That's right. We need the good news.
We do need the good news. Let me make sure I've grabbed that.
Good news.
Grab Ember right by the good news. That's
Oh
what I do.
my.
Ember grabs him by the good news. Sometimes she doesn't even ask.
The president said it's okay.
Yeah. When you do the transpositions, they just let you.
Yeah, sort of do the tic tac thing first, or not. Just never know.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Grab him by the good news. Speaking of our president, everything I have tonight is about this. Not everything, but the big thing I have tonight, the main thing I'm wanting to bring up and talk about is going to be this the Epstein files. Unfortunately, I know everybody's sick of hearing about it, but but there was this. Let me show you guys. Okay, there was this
There's
woman.
a thing.
Yeah, there was this woman, this trans woman who wanted to be a model, and and she got involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
Dun dun dun.
And the press decided that this was just ridiculous because she was a he she.
This is
a ginger bender.
Is this the Post or Daily News, or is it some
This
other
is the
rag?
New York Post.
That's what I figured. Good old Rupert.
Yeah, there's hold on, let me see if I can pull this one up too. This was a lot.
It's way too risque for the Daily News. This is
like,
even though the Daily News is a bit of a rag too, but
this was the headline. This was the front page.
Uppity tranny Epstein, pay up. Oh my fucking word.
Billionaire massage hobbyist framed by email. That language. And this is, what year is this? I can't tell what year this is. I think
it's the woman's fault. I mean, good God.
I want to say it's like 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless.
Holy crap, what the fuck? Yeah, well.
This situation though, the way that they present her story.
Yeah, it's so fucked up because they're calling it a bogus suit inside, but right on the front they had the guy with the quote who said that Jeffrey's kind of rapey. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, like, listen to the way this is portrayed. They're just demonizing her. The stunning model wannabe who says she was pressured into hush affair with billionaire Jeffrey Epstein when she was only 16 has an even bigger secret. She's a man. Maximilia Cordero. I think she switched her name to Ava later on, but this article is written. She went by Maximilia. Who stepped forward last week with a lawsuit claiming she engaged in a bizarre and unnatural sex act with Epstein while in her teens, was born Maximilian Cordero in 1983. Records show. So she's my age now.
I mean, she was your age then too.
Yeah, I mean that's true because we're born in the same year.
We were
Nothing gets past you, Ember.
We were talking backstage and we determined I have to be Rose, so I'm rosing it up today.
And then from here they go on to start misgendering her.
So it's not enough to just say she's a man. They gender her correctly, which is like tabloidy, but whatever. But then they start.
Yeah.
They can't even be consistent. Like the fuck.
No.
Yeah. Then they go, right into wrong pronouns. But she was dressing up as a girl by age of 12 and had been living as a female since her early teens.
Dressing up as, oh my God. Yeah, great.
Sources close to Cordero told the Post Cordero has had cosmetic work done and has taken hormone treatments for almost a decade to look more like a woman, one source said.
This is fucking Jerry Springer talk right here.
Right.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, the way it's presented over here, though, the transsexual who says she was pressured into an affair with billionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
It was out of date. It was out of date even then. I mean,
when this was published, right?
Yeah, it was like, what the holy crow.
And listen to this. It gets pretty ableist too here, though. So
of course it does. Why not? You can't just have one bigotry. You've got to put them all in there.
So while her suit says she was too disabled as a result of severe mental disease and defect to bring a suit against Epstein earlier than 7 years after he allegedly, because we all know Jeffrey Epstein, right? Allegedly abused her. And I'm switching some of these words to get past the censor, but I mean, you can go and look at this. It's all over my social media right now. You can go see what words they're actually using here. Some stuff I just won't say, and some stuff YouTube won't let me say that's in here, if that puts it into perspective for you.
Nice. But the New York Post will say all of those things.
Right. And this tells you about the time frame. She's talking about her MySpace. Her MySpace page indicated she had been able to live a productive life. I'm currently attending FIT part-time. So because she could attend school and hold down a job, why they're doing that? Well, why couldn't she have come forward sooner? Right, because mentally ill people you're supposed to be so deficient that you're just rolling on the floor, and I'll say this as someone who struggles with a myriad of stuff. I have depression and things like that. Obviously, I have gender dysphoria, which I imagine is a condition I share with Ava here, but I don't. That doesn't mean I can't work. That I haven't been able to hold down a job, right? Like I
got over it. No gender dysphoria here whatsoever.
Well, they're implying that because she was able to take care of herself, that she should have been able to face this trauma head on in a courtroom against a billionaire who. People seem to just disappear when they were trying to bring evidence against
it's
Jeffrey
the same
Epstein.
Old story. It's like, don't do anything that will actually make you better. That will actually cause your life to be better. Just tell the individual and the world that, oh, you're going to lose everything. Everything's going to suck and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's sure helpful. This is why conversion therapy is such garbage. It's like, what are you talking about? Well, couldn't you just? And it's like, well, quite honestly, no. Just.
And this is like, it echoes a lot of the Bill Clinton stuff too. When you look over this, which is the Monica Lewinsky thing, how like they frame it as an affair and not as a young intern sexually assaulted by a rich old oligarch white man.
Well, let's not forget this was the George W. era,
Yeah.
2007. At the edging toward the end of the W.
Right.
The
They're talking
W
about stuff that happened in
debacle.
2002, though. So, I mean, it was the
Oh,
Bush
well.
era. Yeah. Well, it's still Bush era.
Yeah,
The,
still Bush era.
The alleged
And Bush
the alleged
League.
assault happened. I say alleged. I'm sort of a believe the victims, especially when they're victims of Jeffrey Epstein.
Especially
crowd.
when it's Epstein, yes. I think
Right,
I
'cause
think you're probably on solid ground.
it
there.
just seems like a safe bet.
Well, it's so fucked up in so many ways, not the least of which because of the way they're referring to a trans person, but the fact that they're using the fact she's trans as a distraction from the fact that Epstein coerced a 16-year-old, regardless of sex, regardless of the plumbing. It's a child. The fuck? But no, it doesn't count because she's trans.
Yeah. And it's like what the framing is like, yeah, this case was brought against Epstein, and I got the original case here, teen model, my kinky sex with a billionaire thing right here, and then and then they're framing it like, but she's a man, so do you believe anything she says? She's even lying about who she is.
That does raise another interesting perspective. Because around that period of time, especially in New York, I don't know how it was in Florida, probably worse considering, there was a big huzzabazoo in the public discourse about whether it was even possible to essay a man in any way.
Right. Which is why prisons are nightmares.
And that's those. Never mind. I won't make reference to Rudy Giuliani and cops saying it was Giuliani time when referring to when. Yeah. Won't mention that.
I think you did.
God. No, I didn't. I didn't get specific. Y'all, if you don't know what I'm talking about, y'all can look it up. It's one of the more gruesome, just disgusting people stay disgusting people. Let's just put it that way. Rudy Giuliani's been disgusting for a very long time. And he's still above ground. It's like Epstein is
somehow.
not, but
yeah. Terrible framing on all of this. Just decades ago, and that's because I don't say it's because, but it's like a time period, and you talk about this a lot, Steph. When the transitioning met, you had to try to blend in, you had to try to hide, in plain sight you had to try to convince people you were cis. There was no, I'm transgender.
Different
but
closet,
that's okay.
better clothes.
Yeah.
Different closet, better clothes.
So just being like, yes, I'm just being able to say, yes, I'm trans, and that not making any difference at all on how you're treated socially. Which is,
but the thing is, that's all well and good. But when you get pieces like this, when you get, sensationalist pieces like this in the Post and blah, 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 and they ran all the time. And some, you mentioned the Jerry Springer show, and it's the same. It's kind of hard to do that.
Right. And there's something much, much worse festering underneath all of this. And I hate to bring this forward and shed any kind of light on it at all, but I have a feeling that we're about to see a framing of Jeffrey Epstein as a trans woman, as a closeted trans woman, when clearly it was like a cross-dressing kink. But
Well, again, we can refer to Rudy Giuliani, who had a cross-dressing kink, and with, among others, Donnie
J. Edgar
Trump.
Hoover.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Just bracing myself for that, you know, because that's going to be the narrative moving forward.
Of course, because anything you can do to paint trans people as odd and crazy is the best thing you can do.
Right?
Assholes. Too many assholes.
The
Anyway,
world's full of assholes.
it's true. Can't fix assholery.
Mm-mm. Well, I don't know where else to go with this story. It's just that there's so many places where you can see how this was reported on back at the time and how disgusting every outlet was about
I have a
addressing
place
them.
we can put it.
Look, this is the Intelligencer. Look at the title of the article.
Oh no, God Almighty! Wait, and
This was 2007.
2007. Great,
Mhm.
awesome, super. Yeah.
Maximilia Cordero, the 23-year-old model who sued Jeffrey Epstein last week, claiming that he took advantage of her when she was 16, has turned out to be a dude. People will tell you dude is gender neutral, but looks like back in 2007, even back in 2007, people knew what you meant when you said someone was a dude. So let's stop with the I call everybody dude. Dude's gender
back
neutral.
in 2000,
Yeah.
2007, you would have been you could be a dudette.
Yeah. This morning's Post reports that Maximilia was born Maximilian in 1883, but has been dressing up as the girl since the age of 12. At least this one's like properly naming her MySpace profile under the name Avarella Cordera says she's a 17-year-old model.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they of course they have to demonize her. Oh, and I'm a junkhead. Pills, designer substances, my fave diesel. Okay, this is the same shit. Like this is Hunter Biden kind of nonsense about substance abuse struggles.
Yeah.
It's her lawyer boyfriend. Yeah, she dated a guy who was a lawyer who took up her case that she was too mentally ill, according to her, to take that by herself.
That's how you get a lawyer.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Still looking for a lawyer, by the way, folks. If anyone knows somebody.
Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty gross. Pretty gross indeed. And then Ember had brought up what I do with that. About the
thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry about a thing.
Don't you worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be all right. Here we go. Pressure. Pressing down on me. Now I'm gonna start singing songs for everything that we do.
So as everybody may have heard yesterday, Steam dropped a whole bunch of games. Twitch.io dropped a whole bunch of games. Apparently, it's because MasterCard, Visa, and PayPal all said no more adult content. The reason they said that, right? But it's worse than that. The reason they said that is because this group called Collective Shout did an open letter to the payment processor saying, hey, you're letting people use your service to procure games that promote child abuse, child SA and sibling relationships and other things that you might not want to push. And so they said to Steam and Twitch.io, hey, get rid of the adult content. Nothing about the fact that it was originally about child stuff, but whatever. They said, kill the adult content. We're not processing those transactions. Steam actually had a policy.
Seems to me they're happy to process transactions from,
You would
let's
think.
say, shops like Adam and Eve or anything else. Like,
And if you want to process a transaction, oh, sorry, wrong show.
Indeed,
this,
right, wrong.
I gotta ask, is this in response or have some sort of response to it, to the UK passing their Texas law about pornography?
I have no idea. I haven't heard any connection with UK laws or Texas laws or anything. The reason that I brought it up and thought we might want to talk about it here is because just like the payment processors took it a step further and it wasn't just about the child stuff. It was all adult content they wanted banned. Steam and Twitch and itch.io. I'm always going to mix that up with Twitch. They took it a step further too, and they removed a whole bunch of games that aren't adult content. But what those games had in common was that they're all LGBT themed.
Right.
Now, to be clear, it's not all LGBT games. They didn't block everything queer, but everything they did block that isn't adult content is queer.
Yeah, this is like
taps in. Sorry, Bree. This taps into the whole notion of people being risk averse. It's like, hey, we just don't want to deal with it, so therefore we'll just drop it. You know, who's going to complain?
This just stinks like Tipper Gore to me.
Yeah, it's the same basic idea. You know, everybody. What's funny is, you know, it's especially funny to me at this point in time is, you know, the paeans to Ozzy Osbourne upon his passing, like totally memory hold that entire thing. Like Black Sabbath is the death knell of civilization. You know, it's just, holy Christ. It's just, come on, people, make up your fucking minds.
I remember D. Snyder freaking crushed Tipper Gore in Supreme Court. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah. Oh, so did Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa was quite famous.
Frank Zappa's so freaking smart. That's the funny thing about Frank Zappa. He's such a goofy guy. You think he would be, you know, he would come across like as uninformed, but no, he had his finger on the pulse. He had all kinds of predictions about Reaganomics and stuff like that. There's clips you can find of Frank Zappa going on about Reaganomics. But yeah, this is moral panic, right? And I think that they're gonna that maybe this will get the pendulum swinging back the other way, because like lately the gamer people have like not been on our side on anything. But I think the gamer people might be on our side on this once they start taking Grand Theft Auto off of the menu. People are not going to be happy. People are not going to just be like, "Oh, that's okay. We like the government. We like the government controlling what games we can play."
I would like to quote a Zappa lyric. It's off of an album called "We're Only in It for the Money." And if you look at the album cover, you will note that it is a parody of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So anyway, Mr. Zappa penned the following in 1966, mind you: "The idiot bastard son. The father's a Nazi in Congress today. The mother's a hooker somewhere in LA."
Oh,
you know, ahead of his time? No, very much of his time, because this shit is eternal. This crap's been going on my entire life. We lost how many? 56,000 dead in Vietnam when I was a child of draft age. You know, this stuff, I'm getting a little political here. This shit's been going on forever.
Oh, yes, it has.
Always.
Anyway.
Carly
It-
appears.
It's never gonna
Carly.
stop.
You came in at a really good time, let me tell you.
And I am so stressed out about it. It's just so.
Oh well, wait until you see the rant I have planned for tonight. Because I originally was going to tape this one, and give myself the night off, but I decided, okay, Bree, Bree. That's borderline YouTube violation right there. Now, come on now. You have that.
It's a
You have a
cami.
license to carry
It gets
those?
rolled up. It's a cami.
You have a license.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because you have a license to carry those.
Bree is
That's an awful
a
lot of
double
neckline
O.
right there.
They're not that big. I just know how to use them.
Hey,
Bree
teach
is a
me.
00 agent. I will have you all know.
Honey,
a 00
Marilyn,
agent right
honey,
there.
teach me.
Yes, we will have to give booby lessons. Anyway, yeah, we were. You missed the Epstein stuff, which we talked about, Carly. But
don't worry, just don't worry. I've got something for you. I've got something for you in Carly Webb in Transposition Sports Live tonight.
Excellent.
Oh no, we're gonna break down two things. One, we're going to break down the World Athletics brought back sex testing. And we're gonna break down Pete Booty Wop.
Fucking Pete.
Yeah,
I thought about bringing that up
wanted
here,
to add
but
him to the thing too, but I'm like, I'm too mad. I can't discuss him rationally.
That's okay.
No,
I'm the
I'm glad.
Rockefeller outrage tonight.
I'm glad you picked that up because I didn't grab that, but I probably should have.
I'm gonna talk.
I'll be honest. I never got the attraction. I honestly never got the attraction with.
Well, he's a good Richard Grinnell guy.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones, as they say.
He's a military industrial guy. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a little bit, troops. Keep it going down.
All right. Yeah, so this quote is, they are tagged as LGBT content. Don't pretend this is only about NSFW. It's not safe for work. It's kind of weird. This is not safe for work works, though. But I digress. Why are you censoring queer works? A collective shout spokeswoman told Decrypt that it did not lobby HIO to remove all adult content, only those featuring the R word and this I word.
I just substitute SA.
Yeah.
When pressed, I'll say sexual assault because that usually doesn't bring up the censors, but it just. So to be clear, folks, whenever I say SA, that's what I mean, even though SA includes a whole lot more stuff.
It's also worth noting that HIO's sweeping de-indexing is part of a review process and games may be relisted. Still kind of weird that if it's got like get any kind of LGBTQ theme to it at all, or is it? I don't want to misspeak there. You explained that's not the situation, but if these games are all coming up with LGBTQ content and they're under review for that,
yeah,
like what happens? What are they citing here? I don't.
The White House and Governor Mike Huckabee and all that bullshit with the, well, if it's part of the letters, it's NSFW, because just being a gay person, being a trans person, being an intersex person or an asexual person is inherently adult content.
Yeah, look at this. This person is all these porn sick, brain rotted PDF files, gamer fetishists so desperate to get their hands on SA games they're now exchanging clues on how to find them so that they don't all die overnight.
Well, that's just talking about that Osmond Goldfellow.
Yeah. Porn sick. That's so funny. It's like, oh, gamers, they're all Osmond Gold. I hope that because something like this is going to cause a rift, right, in that manosphere culture, because they're not going to like having adult content censored out of their game. That's one of the key features of the Grand Theft Auto games, is that you can SA people and stuff like that.
It's another step towards Gilead, and maybe it'll get them on the side of everyone fighting for freedom and bodily autonomy. They'll be like, oh wait, people should have a right to express themselves, I suppose. It's weird to consider that being, somebody who'd be in favor of a non-authoritarian state, but there we are. And, like Patty at the Apostate Sisters frequently says, quoting the show, I believe, though I haven't seen the show, only read the books, not fighting Gilead is how you get Gilead.
Yeah, you have to push back. You have to be intolerant of intolerance, right? There's no, people like to call it a paradox, but no, you just have to stop intolerance where it raises its head.
This is one more step on the road to prudery. The Puritans, even though they will happily take everyone's children to their private island for some fun time, but they're rich, so they can.
But that's not in the U.S., so they get away with it, because you don't have to follow the 10 Commandments when you're on an island, right? You just you don't have to follow them when you're on U.S. soil.
I mean, you could make a case you don't have to follow them if you're not in the Levant, but details.
Yeah, details.
Minor correction. That island is located in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
It's off St. Thomas, right?
It's off St. Thomas. I've actually sailed around it.
Yeah, Apostate
Didn't
Sisters.
go there.
That's Patty. Yes, there is SA and there is SA in Grand Theft Auto. You basically assault prostitutes as part of the gameplay. It's pretty gruesome. It's been that way for a long time, though. Since that's like one of the game's inception features. But stifling, I don't think you have to engage in that in the game. I think it helps sculpt who your character is and how the police come after them and stuff, though. So it's been a long time since I played any of those games.
I feel that. I only ever played the first one, where the worst crime you could do was run over people going across a crosswalk, which was kind of fun, actually.
When you say the first one, are you talking about the overhead view one on the computer that they had?
Yeah. When it was just called Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you did was steal cars and run over people.
That's fascinating.
And you were just a little pixel and the cars were just little rectangles.
I preferred Frogger. That was fun. The only thing you could do is run over the frogs.
In Soviet Russia, car run over you.
Yeah, that's true too. Or you get thrown out a window. Either way, that's good too.
What's the word? Defenestration.
Defenestration. Yes, it's come back into style.
It's how you retire in Russian. World.
Yeah, Vlad brought it back.
Yep.
Come up to this window. I need to talk to you.
Look at the view, comrade. Look at the view. Look at the view here, comrade. It's beautiful.
Come a little bit closer. Let me put my arm around you, comrade.
Yeah. Well,
what a world that we live in.
Dimitri, no, please, no.
I mean,
why do people keep doing this in my presence?
And that's what the kind of country that that the MAGA seems to want, where the president
Whatever
rules with an iron fist, and there's no judicial branch or checks and balances to stop him from doing whatever the hell he wants.
A tiny, tiny iron fist that cannot lift a glass of water.
Right.
Yeah.
Has to do it with two hands.
Dick Nixon used to just sort of, do that iron fist and velvet glove thing, but the velvet glove is now completely missing. So
they all just want to be Roosevelt, and they're not.
Which Roosevelt?
Either, but I was thinking of Teddy. Big stick diplomacy.
Oh yeah, that's who all. Yeah. He's the libertarian hero president. Him and Andrew Jackson. Even though Andrew Jackson was full on fash, yeah, he was fascist before there was fascism.
Yeah, well, there was that whole Trail of Tears thing.
Yeah,
kind of a bad thing.
He's pretty gross. Pretty
real.
The whole Trail of Tears thing was based on a lawsuit in Georgia, right? And Supreme Court said, "Hey, you can't do this," and Andy Jackson said, "The hell I can't. Watch me,"
And he's the president Trump wants to be like.
In that court case, by the way, the doctrine of discovery was cited as the reason you could do that. In other words, we're Christians. We can do anything with non-Christians.
That's scary. That's the world they want to go back to.
It's actually cited that the doctrine of discovery, the papal bull, what the papal bull is titled, etc. Actually, and among other things, and it laid out that the European powers, as Christians, as the civilizing nations, could do any damn thing they wanted, but not to another Christian nation.
Right, because non-Christians weren't fully human.
Yeah. Pretty bad.
And
bad shit.
When they say the again part of MAGA, that last A, that's what they're talking about. They want to make it so anybody that's not Christian, not white Christian nationalist or whatever, is going to be a second-class citizen. It's just
we're already on the way there too. I'm sure you all have seen the memo that federal employees got 2 days ago, asterisk,
to try to convert their coworkers.
Way the hell off topic.
No, they were so it's my bringing up the doctrine of discovery, but hey, whatever.
Well, it's all relative to what we're talking about here, with what kind of puritanical system that we're going to go back to across the board, right? The arts have always been the enemy, of the authoritarian state, because the arts is there to mock the state. Even back at its inception, with like the court jester was the person who mocked the state. So
that's part of it.
Yeah, getting rid of the court jesters, like Colbert, for instance, is a step towards authoritarian control.
Right. Mel Brooks is like 92 or something like that. They ought to give him a late night show. Let's see how that goes.
He's about the
There's no way Mel Brooks stays up late enough to do a late night show. He's like 92.
True. Yeah.
He'd have to record it earlier in the day.
Yeah, well, that'd be all right.
Doable. They do that with the Daily Show. They record at like noon.
It's so funny because Mel Brooks has been playing an elderly man since I was a little kid. Like Spaceballs, where he's what is he, yogurt?
Yeah. Do these pants make my ass look big?
Oh yeah, he's the president doing that.
He is a president. Oh my goodness.
Why didn't anybody tell me my ass looks so big?
Yeah. Yes, Mel Brooks is in fact alive still.
Oh boy. Yes, Mel Brooks is still kicking. Well, the only other thing I had to talk about, I didn't even have anything up on it, was this situation with the pissed off lawyer. I don't spend much time on Twitter.
Good thing.
But I do go on there to promote some of my adult content stuff.
Really?
And so I went on. Yeah, it's a good place to advertise.
I can imagine.
So.
Place riddled with incels is, you know.
Yeah.
Fertile
So
planting.
Titan Uranus in the house. Look at that.
When I went,
holy smokes. Hi, Titan.
When I went on there, I saw the pissed off lawyer who was like a trans advocate for a long time, arguing with Stacey K, who's a trans comedian and activist, about who was prettier. I'm like, wait, I thought that the pissed off lawyer was a trans man. Well, the pissed off lawyer has, while I was away from Twitter, has detransitioned, and is now like posing in t-shirts that say your AGP is showing. If you don't know in the audience what AGP is, it's a fictional diagnosis that was debunked in the late 90s for transgender people, presented by Ray Blanchard. It's not a real thing, but the TERF movement likes to appeal to it. They like to say this is a condition that trans women specifically suffer from, that would be something that we all have, right? But you would think that
we've got in our or on our Discord, we've got references to where you can find out more about Ray Blanchard and Kenneth Zucker and that whole thing. And what was funny to me, or funny, not funny, is that all of that resurfaced with the whole what was it? Rapid onset gender disorder.
Yeah, the Lisa Littman
same kind of
the
Lisa Littman thing. It was exactly the same kind of crap, a popularized, because it's like J. Michael Bailey popularized the autogynephilia bullshit, and the same kind of somebody makes up some shit and then somebody writes a book about it. The AGP thing was J. Michael Bailey's The Man Who Would Be Queen, which, I mean, my goodness. And this was when I was transitioning, right around that time. It's just, holy Christ. Everything old is new again.
People forget, especially when stuff isn't talked about. But this stuff is it keeps resurging. Like, part of it is the resurgence because of Lisa Littman and her nonsense, and the fact that popularizers who don't know what the hell they're talking about, like Helen Joyce, have picked it up and run with it. But also Kelly Cadigan from the Dollcast, that whole group, they're all on about AGP all the time, and Buck Angel, and like it's
do the people from the Dollcast do the people from the Dollcast, do they claim that they have AGP?
Well, I don't know about the other hosts, but Kelly says that she's a true transsexual because she's actually a secret homosexual who just looks like a woman. So she's a real true transsexual. But everybody else who, isn't strictly into men and only transitioned so they could get with more men, those are AGP people.
Yeah.
Because, Kelly's a specialist at this sort of thing.
Shorter Blanchard, the key element to the whole thing is that a person has autogynephilia if they fantasize about having sex as a woman. And curiously enough, there was a study done that found that approximately 75% of women were apparently autogynephiliacs.
That's what I was to say. What else would I fantasize about having sex with or sex as than myself? Am I going to pretend I'm a man? Will I pretend I'm a man while I'm
you're a frog?
fantasizing?
Or a Tootsie Roll or
an
a
orc?
sheep if you're Scottish, I suppose.
Can I be an orc? I want big orc tusk.
Oh. Hell yeah. Yeah, I've seen a similar study.
The age of man has come to an end.
And it just, most people don't even think about what they are. Nobody's pretending. You just are yourself, but whatever.
Right. When a cis woman does it, it's not autogynephilia for some reason. Right.
So here we are doing a news program, right? And it's like, oh, breaking news. And all the stories you might as well be stories breaking in 2007, like the one earlier tonight.
Here we are again.
It's the same stuff over and over and over again. You really would think that people would get over it. But
yeah, to build on that, one of the reasons I'm so fucking mad about Mayor Pete is because so for anybody who missed it, he did an interview on NPR and he said a whole bunch of bullshit. A whole bunch of bullshit.
Basically saying something Gavin Newsom said a couple.
Yeah.
They're related. They're similar. There's some crossover. But the real bitch of it is every single thing he said was said about him when he was in high school, because just change out the word trans for gay and it's the same arguments word for word.
Of course. Yeah, of course. It's crazy.
Yeah, I got mine. So you is the message that we seem to be getting.
Oh, I like it. Closet. That's great.
Oh, what now?
That's great. Autogyrophilia.
Who else was it? There was another high level Democrat, somebody from the Obama administration that was on the news recently.
Rahm Emanuel, former chief of staff.
Well, that guy.
He was dropping the
Larry
R
Summers.
slur. The R slur before it became back in style.
Kick him in the nuts.
Yeah, he's always been a very Chicago flavored politician, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I do.
Well, I mean, but J.B. Pritzker is a Chicago flavored politician. For a billionaire, he's one of the better politicians that we have right now. At least as far as the trans folks go, he's one that'll actually Pritzker. And what's your governor's name again, Steph?
Janet Mills.
Yeah, Mills. Mm-hmm.
She doesn't take any shit. She's great. She really is great.
Yeah,
she's terrific.
But apparently, Gavin Newsom's just been over for the turning their back on the trans community. At least he thinks he's still got the queer community on his side, but it's the gays against groomers movement is very fringe in actual representation of the queer community. Gavin, they're not real.
Yeah,
I love hearing that. People like, there's a split. There's a split in the gay community among whether or not they support trans people. No, there's not. There's not.
And
really.
Of course, most of them aren't gay. Either.
Yeah,
like the LGB Alliance.
Out
of what 90 members, there's 3 people who actually are L or G or B, and everybody else is straight.
Yeah.
And to get back to your point. Pissed off lawyer. I saw them, since whether they're trans or detrans seems to be up in the air, talking about how they were so grateful that another influencer was coming to the defense of trans people like them and their wife, who are both trans people. And I'm like, weren't you just doing the whole AGP thing? What are you doing?
Right.
So I have no idea where the hell the pissed off lawyer is right now. Or maybe it's just different things for different social medias.
I saw a post from I don't know, I'm going to say either what from them today. It said, if you thought I was going to turn my back on trans people just because I detransitioned, think again. But yeah, again, she was wearing the AGP t-shirt. She was coming at Stacy saying that she was a man. And I invited Stacy on. She couldn't carve out time this week, but she may still be coming on to talk about this. I don't know, but it'd be nice to have Stacy on. I've been trying to get her on since the show's inception, so yeah.
It takes a minute sometimes.
Oh, it's been a minute, hasn't it? When did we start this thing? Like in March last year or something like that?
Yeah, it's been over a year now.
Yeah. We're a quarter.
So you know what?
into
If you
our
want to
second
keep
year.
us, if you want to keep us going, you know, you could just sort of tell your friends. You could like, you could subscribe, you could leave us a comment, you could do all the things that you got to do, because otherwise we're just not, you know, we're just gonna just sit there and mope ourselves.
And we see you folks who are sharing, you know, Rochelle pumping us up in line chat. Appreciate the hell out of that. Journey posting about every single show. That
all the different social media stuff. Yes. We've kind of stagnated. YouTube doesn't like the stuff that we talk about on this channel.
Well, you're too pretty, Bree.
Well,
you violate community standards
by having boobs. You have boobs too, Ember. You just don't show them off. The world deserves to see your girls, Ember.
They're still cooking. Give them time.
Vault. These children.
All right, Ember.
What I put up with. Good heavens.
Before I go, I wanted to say something. Before we go into good news, I wanted to show y'all something. Ben has started a new hobby, and he's going into business making soap.
Ooh.
And it's gonna be on it. Look,
the soaps.
That's nice.
He's been threatening soaps for a little while now.
Yeah, and then there's this one. He made these. Is this going to show up? Yeah, it's like a honeycomb with the bee on it.
Yeah.
This one's wrapped still. There's but he's got cryptid ones too, with Mothman and an alien and Bigfoot. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. He hasn't made those yet, but he's made a few of them.
Lose his shit. Trees, tell Captive Desk.
Am I still blurry? Bring me back into focus. Yes, I'm still blurry. Nothing to be done for it.
It says nope. Not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it.
All right, so
it's better.
What do y'all got for me now coming up on the show? I know, Ember, I downloaded your good news. What are we going to be looking at?
A bunch of different things. Follow up on some previous stories. London Pride was gigantic. It was amazing. And we've got women in Texas are sick of Republican bullshit, and faith leaders in Maine standing up and standing out, plus more.
I'm a woman in Texas, and I approve this message.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Maine's pretty cool. Maine's pretty cool.
All right, and I believe we have live sports today when Carly gets back, but we're going to go ahead and pop on into the good news.
We always need good news.
All right, Ember, are you sticking around? You're going to pop out to the side chat?
Yeah, I got to go into portable mode. I've got to drive to the next city and do both. Yes, at this hour, but yes, I have to go.
So, I got nothing for y'all except I'm still trying to live my best life. And last night we won a sailboat race, and it was so much fun. It's all good. Go out there, live your best life. Do the best you can for you. Don't let
Yield.
anyone tell you can't do it, because you can. That's all I got to say. That's good news too.
All right, here's the good news coming at you.
So I recently moved to a new area where nobody knows me, but more importantly, nobody knows my dead name. We live in an apartment building now, and everyone in my building only knows me as Daisy. Now there's a lot of really cool and freeing things about that, but the thing that I find the coolest is that it does not matter how I look. It does not matter if I have shaved that day, if I have my makeup done, if I'm wearing a dress, or if I'm dressed like Adam Sandler. People just call me Daisy. They really just don't care, right? There's no difference whether I'm wearing like basketball shorts and a t-shirt or if I'm like done up to go out for the day. Everyone just is like, hi Daisy. I'm wrong. There is a difference. The only difference though is that occasionally my neighbors will ask me where I got my dress. And that's really important to me because at this stage in my transition, even on my best days, I'm still very visibly trans. And I'm proud to be trans, don't get me wrong. It's just nice to be in an area where I don't have to feel like I have to hide anymore.
Good news, everyone! Tonight, trans magic happens. Texas women take a stand. Maine's faith leaders fight for freedom, and more. Good news starts right now. First, following up on our story from a few weeks ago, Trans 12th Night took the stage last weekend. Sir Ian McKellen, seen here introducing the show, was a producer of the all-trans ensemble. As a lover of Shakespeare, as well as a proponent of queer art, it was really great to see one of the most fun shows brought to life from across the Atlantic. The live stream recording is still available to view by video on demand through the venue website, space.org.uk. That's not the only all-trans cast in the news this week. From Pink News. Introducing Dolls, a Lily Wachowski-produced sci-fi thriller with an all-trans women cast. A new sci-fi thriller short film with Matrix co-director Lily Wachowski serving as executive producer features an all-transgender woman cast. The 18-minute film Dolls marks the directorial debut of trans filmmaker Gina Rosero, and the cast includes Yen Sen, Arewa Basit, Macy Rodman, and Vasily, as well as the director herself. Described as a trans-coded take on the 70s cult classic The Stepford Wives, the new film follows Yan, a private investigator who infiltrates a suspicious dating workshop for transgender women after being hired to find a missing girl. Jean, the power-hungry head of the workshop, is rumored to be running a cult. However, she claims she's only helping individuals process relationship problems. But altogether darker forces appear to be at work. Rosero told them, "Dolls is my attempt to birth the internal chatter that ruminates in my head. All those years admiring directors like Claire Denis, Lucretia Martel, and Park Chan-wook, I told myself, give it a shot. It's the only way to find out." And Wachowski said, Dolls is a fever dream reflecting on assimilation and the investigation of trans identity. I'm so proud to be part of this beautiful, weird, striking debut. Pulitzer Prize-winning Susie Ibarra composed a score for the film. Quote, Gina's script and directing bring visuals, sound, and music into a beautiful interplay that creates a unique narrative, Ibarra said. I am honored to collaborate on this unapologetic and much-needed story of transgender women characters in film. The word doll, of course, refers to a trans woman or trans femme non-binary person and is also used as a term of endearment. It has now entered the mainstream lexicon thanks to the Protect the Dolls t-shirts campaign worn by celebrities and others. There is no word yet on when Dolls will be released, but you can bet we will keep you posted. Of course, the event that immediately preceded the opening of 12th Night was the London Pride March, and despite the UK media pretending there wasn't a fair-sized city's worth of people filling the streets, it still attracted some notice from Scene Mag. London Trans Plus Pride 2025, a record-breaking march for rights and recognition. Central London was awash with color, solidarity, and defiance on Saturday as over 100,000 people gathered for the 6th annual London Trans Plus Pride, marking the largest event of its kind in the world to date. The march began at Langham Place near BBC Broadcasting House and wound its way through iconic streets including Regent Street and Trafalgar Square, culminating in a rally at Parliament Square Gardens. The theme of this year's event, Existence and Resistance, reflected the community's growing urgency in the face of recent legal and political developments. Among these speakers was Yasmin Finney, an actress known for her roles in Heartstopper and Doctor Who delivered a passionate call for trans visibility and justice. Other speakers included Carolyn Littman, a trans rights campaigner whose daughter tragically died after waiting years for gender-affirming care, and Alex Parmar-Yee of the Trans Plus Solidarity Alliance. The march came just months after the UK Supreme Court's April ruling, which some have interpreted to redefine the legal interpretation of woman and sex with regards to the Equality Act of 2010, to refer strictly to people assigned female at birth. The decision has been widely criticized by trans rights advocates, legal scholars, and people who don't have their head in their ass, who argue it could lead to increased discrimination and exclusion from public spaces, as evidenced by the increased discrimination and sudden, immediate, and violent exclusion from public spaces. Bobby Harding, fundraising lead for London Trans Plus Pride, described the turnout as a total honor, adding, quote, "We are more determined than ever to show up and let people know that we deserve a place on this earth, and we are entitled to dignity and privacy, as is our human right." The Equality and Human Rights Commission, EHRC, has also come under fire for issuing interim guidance suggesting that trans individuals may be barred from using facilities aligned with their gender identity. Critics, including Parmar-Yee, have condemned the lack of transparency and consultation in the process, warning of potentially tragic outcomes. That's a bit of an understatement, as you may recall from our previous reporting. The Law Lord's decision involved consultation from several known identified hate groups and not one trans person or expert in transgender healthcare. Despite overcast skies, the atmosphere was electric, filled with chants, banners, and a palpable sense of unity. The event not only celebrated trans lives, but also served as a powerful protest against what many see as a rollback of hard-won rights. As Louis G. Burton, co-founder of London Trans Plus Pride, put it, quote, "You can try to strip us of our rights, but you can never remove us from society." Transvite adds some additional information. London Trans Plus Pride 2025 brought over 100,000 people to the streets of central London in the largest trans pride event to date. Under the theme Existence and Resistance, the march celebrated trans lives while protesting the ruling of the UK Supreme Court on gender recognition and recent Equality and Human Rights Commission guidance. Speakers, including Yasmin Finney, highlighted the urgent fight for rights and healthcare access. London Trans Plus Pride shattered its own attendance record on Saturday as more than 100,000 people filled central London in a powerful show of visibility and solidarity for trans communities. The largest trans pride demonstration ever recorded worldwide, according to organizers. The march's theme, existence and resistance, framed a day that was as much protest as celebration, coming in the wake of April's UK Supreme Court ruling that legally defines womanhood by assigned sex at birth under equality's law. Organizers and activists framed the turnout as a clear repudiation of intensifying political and legal attacks on trans lives. Among those speaking was Caroline Littman, whose daughter Alice died in 2022 from self-harm after waiting nearly 3 years for gender-affirming health care. A stark reminder that this policy isn't abstract. Delays and rollbacks carry lethal consequences. Her testimony underscored a message repeated throughout the day. Access to timely, compassionate care is non-negotiable. Trans Plus Solidarity Alliance organizer Alex Parma-Yee criticized the recent proposals and draft guidance from the EHRC, warning they risk entrenching discrimination and making essential services harder to reach. The critique reflects a broader backlash to the Supreme Court decision and subsequent policy shifts now rippling through public bodies, changes many fear will legitimize harassment, exclusion from necessary spaces, and an escalation in gender policing, which, it should be noted, has already begun to affect cis women more than any other group. Louis G. Burton, a founding member of London Trans Plus Pride, hailed the march as a message to lawmakers and institutions that the community will not retreat. Pink News reported organizers speaking in similarly urgent terms, stressing the need for a multi-pronged approach from grassroots action to legal advocacy to secure real, durable change. The London event landed amid a broader European Pride season. Berlin hosted one of the continent's largest LGBTQ+ gatherings this weekend, where a small right-wing counter-protest saw arrests, while Amsterdam Pride blended celebration with calls to keep defending GSM rights. The international context matters. UK trans people and allies aren't alone, and the fight against reactionary policy is increasingly transnational. For trans people out there, Saturday was proof that you are not isolated, no matter how loudly institutions try to make you feel invisible. For families and allies, your presence matters in the crowd, at the clinic, in the school meetings, and at the dinner table. Keep showing up. Keep writing to legislators. Keep donating to legal funds and grassroots organizations. The record-breaking numbers weren't just a statistic. They were a promise that this community will continue to exist, resist, and win. In Texas, women are sick of misogyny pretending to be protection from other women, and they're doing something about it. From The Advocate. Coalition of Texas Women declares, "Let us pee in peace," in opposition to Republican bathroom bill. The summer sun had barely cleared the dome of the Texas Capitol when former state senator Wendy Davis took the podium Wednesday morning, framed by the stone columns of the building where she once filibustered for abortion rights in pink sneakers, gaining national attention in 2013. Davis stood before a crowd of women, survivors, GSM advocates, union organizers, and faith leaders, all gathered to reject a new front in Texas's ongoing culture war, House Bill 32. The bill, filed July 14th by Republican State Rep. Valerie Swanson and titled the Texas Women's Privacy Act, would ban transgender people from using restrooms and other sex-segregated public facilities aligned with their gender identity in government buildings, public schools, domestic violence shelters, and prisons. It defines biological sex through chromosomes, anatomy, and the designation on a person's unamended birth certificate. And it goes farther, authorizing civil penalties up to $25,000, inviting lawsuits, and attempting to block Texas courts from even hearing constitutional challenges. Quote, "This bathroom bill is so typical of what we see coming from the legislature when the heat is on them for their own misdeeds," Davis said. "What they want is to divert our attention elsewhere." She added, quote, "I can tell you as a woman that we should be doing everything we can to solve the real problems of this state. We should be standing together and saying, 'Leave our bodies alone. Let us pee in peace.'" She continued, quote, "Let us travel the streets of this state without fear that we are going to be stopped because we may be seeking reproductive health care. Let us have autonomy over our bodies once again. Quite simply, leave us alone and do your job to make sure that we are truly safe." Though Republican Governor Greg Abbott called a special legislative session to address the devastating July 4th floods that killed at least 135 citizens, HB 32 was among the first bills filed, and none mentioned disaster relief. Instead, the bathroom ban swiftly became the session's ideological centerpiece. According to the Movement Advance Project, a nonprofit think tank that tracks GSM policy, 26% of trans people in the United States now live in states where it is illegal for them to use bathrooms and facilities. Texas is now poised to join the 6 states with the broadest such bans, where all government-owned facilities are covered. For those gathered on the Capitol South steps, the cruelty of the legislation was self-evident. Its pretense, protecting women's safety, was not only offensive, they argued, but dangerous. Time and again, the rally speakers called out the hypocrisy of invoking women's bodies to harm another vulnerable group, many of whom are women. Representative Jessica Gonzalez, a chair of the Texas House LGBTQ caucus, delivered a blistering indictment. Quote, "We're done watching our trans community be attacked by politicians who wouldn't last 5 minutes walking in their shoes," she said. "We're done being used as political scapegoats for political gain." To Gonzalez, HB 32 wasn't about public policy or public safety. It was about power. Quote, "They want us to hide. They want us to disappear. But we've got news for them. We aren't going anywhere." State Senator Molly Cook, an emergency room nurse and the first openly LGBTQ plus person elected to the Texas Senate, tied her opposition to her professional oath. Quote, "This bathroom bill will not make anyone safer," she said. "As a nurse, I care deeply about creating safe spaces for everyone. But when Republicans claim that they're protecting women by banning trans people from public restrooms, they're exploiting survivors." Cook said she confronted the Senate sponsor of a similar bill earlier this year and received, quote, "no answer at all for why we need this bill. He stumbled over his words and couldn't even define sex or gender." Her message was clinical and unflinching. Quote, "This is not based in data," she said. "It is based in hate and it is based in cruelty. I would remind viewers that just a few weeks ago, the Utah legislature saw the results of a study they had commissioned seeking exactly this kind of data. And when the data came back saying their concerns were completely unfounded and their efforts were harmful not only to marginalized communities, but the public in general, they swiftly rejected the results of their own study. From the labor movement, Anna Gonzalez of the Texas AFL-CIO, the largest federation of unions, emphasized collective strength. Quote, "Do we really want the government policing who walks into a restroom?" she asked. "That's not only invasive, it's absurd, and it's dangerous." Camilla Factory, a queer Afro-Latina organizer and founder of Black Freedom Factory, placed the moment in a broader historical lineage of legislative harm. Quote, "My rights are being stripped away from me. not by trans women in the bathroom stalls, but in violent house sessions by white, cisgender lawmakers, she said. It is time for us to stand in our privilege the way that trans folks have stood for us for centuries. Fiona Dawson, a domestic violence survivor and LGBTQ+ advocate, spoke from lived experience. Quote, "You'll hear time and time again that there are 0 instances of transgender people attacking anyone in a public restroom," she said. Meanwhile, violence against women happens at 3 times the rate in their own home. Dawson added, "The real bathroom bill we need is one that protects us from folks who don't wash their hands." Melodia Gutierrez, the Texas state director for the Human Rights Campaign, reminded the crowd that for many, the violence isn't theoretical. Quote, "Let me be very clear. I would not feel safe in a men's restroom, and neither would my transgender sisters like Laverne Cox or Hunter Schafer," she said. "That's not safety. That's cruelty disguised as policy." She framed the bill as a test of values. Quote, "When transgender women are under attack, we all are under attack," she said. "We are safer when we build a world that includes all women." Darcy Calbolero of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes closed the rally with sharp clarity. Quote, "I am not afraid to share space with a trans person," she said. "I'm afraid of politicians who use fear and lies to divide us, distract us, and endanger our neighbors." She punctuated the moment with a declaration aimed squarely at the Capitol behind her. Quote, "You know who doesn't belong in our bathrooms? The state of Texas." Religious leaders in Maine held similar views of hateful laws in their state, this time proposed in the name of religion. From the Maine Monitor. Reverend Gwen Fry realized she was a transgender woman in 1976 as she watched the transgender tennis player Renee Richards fight to compete in the U.S. Open as a woman. Now an Episcopal priest working in Waterville, Fry joined dozens of clergy and religious leaders from across Maine this spring to testify against a slew of bills that aimed, in part, to prevent transgender athletes from participating in women's sports. Quote, "My church and now my state protects the trans community," Fry said in her testimony. "I no longer live in fear to leave my house like I did in Arkansas because of the protections afforded me here in Maine. If these bills pass, we will be taking giant steps backwards, and my small community will experience a return to the same discrimination and oppression I fled moving to Maine." Debate over transgender athletes in Maine garnered national attention this year after Representative Laura Libby of Auburn posted a photograph of a child on social media, and Governor Janet Mills sparred with President Donald Trump at the White House. State legislators introduced 8 bills to prevent transgender youth from using restrooms, as well as to remove gender identity from the Maine Human Rights Act. Oral testimony stretched over 14 hours, and more than 1,200 Mainers submitted written testimony on at least one of the bills. The state legislature ultimately rejected all 8 bills in June, largely along party lines. A Maine Monitor analysis found that roughly 50 clergy members, religious leaders, and other representatives of faith-based groups testified individually on the anti-trans legislation, significantly more than testified on abortion legislation this session. All but 4 opposed the bills, invoking their faith to defend the rights of transgender youth. Quote, "Both Hebrew and Christian scripture are super clear about doing justice," said Jane Field, a Presbyterian minister who leads the Maine Council of Churches. Quote, They're also super clear about standing with and for the marginalized, the outcast, the vulnerable. And if there were ever a poster child for someone who's marginalized, outcast, and scapegoated, it's trans youth. Many of the religious leaders who submitted testimony opposing the bills focused on human dignity and compassion for marginalized people. The majority of them were members of the United Church of Christ, or the Episcopal Church, or were Unitarian Universalists. The Main Council of Churches, a coalition of 7 Protestant denominations, put out a call asking clergy and congregants to testify against the bills from a religious standpoint. Field, from the Main Council of Churches, wrote that God gave humanity, quote, a rich variety of gender identities and sexual orientations, and said that people of faith have a responsibility to protect the vulnerable and stand with the marginalized, including transgender youth. One Quaker woman wrote that God created people across a gender spectrum. Quote, just as God created day and night, she wrote, he also created dawn and dusk, in between times that are especially beautiful. A retired United Methodist minister wrote in her testimony that she didn't fully understand what being transgender meant. Still, she added, quote, I do understand that transgender people are beloved children of God who deserve to have all the rights and privileges that cisgender people enjoy. Several rabbis also testified against the bills. Jared Sachs, a rabbi in Portland, wrote that his support for transgender people was rooted in Jewish text and tradition. He pointed out references to at least 6 different sex and gender identities from historic Jewish legal codes and rabbinic commentary. Quote, how we treat others, especially those on the fringes of society, is a reflection of our relationship with God, Sachs wrote. Jody Cohen Hayashida, a Unitarian Universalist minister and director of Multi-Faith Justice Maine, a project of Maine People's Alliance, was one of the faith leaders who testified against the legislation. She said she believes the religious right pivoted to mobilizing around transgender issues as a way to rally their base after abortion became a losing issue in the wake of Dobbs versus Jackson. Quote, it didn't really catch hold until they landed on the issue of trans women in sports, she said, because that created internal conflict with people who love children, who love women, who believe every life is sacred and that we should all have equal access, and tried to put that in direct conflict with the humanity of trans people. For her part, Reverend Fry said she found affirmation in Scripture after coming out to her congregation in Little Rock in 2014. The Episcopal Church had updated its canon in 2012 to formally prohibit discrimination in the ordination process on the basis of gender identity and expression. Policy aside, Fry was quickly fired after publicly identifying as a transgender woman. When a clergy friend invited Fry to an intimate service the next Sunday, Fry lost track of the liturgical calendar. She didn't realize until the service began that it centered on the Transfiguration, a moment in the Bible when Jesus reveals his full form to several disciples. Quote, I just sat down in my pew and just started to quietly weep, Fry said. Here I was, going to the church for the first time as Gwen, as my true self. And here's the gospel reading of Jesus disclosing his true self to the 3 who went up the mountain with him. In that gospel, what Jesus told the disciples was, get up, do not be afraid. That has stuck with me ever since. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. Transpositions Weekly is the first and only weekly trans news show in the universe. And we need your support to keep this show going. Contribute at patreon.com/thetranspositions. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here. And tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by Titan Uranus. And if you want your life-saving medical care to come in exciting new flavors, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
There is a part of me that wishes that hateful nonsense still reached the private softness of my heart, because hardening against it has made it harder to feel the deep tragedy of what's happening to us. There are people who see the love that I have for my husband and think of us both as a punchline. Confused lesbians who are deluding ourselves. I know who I am, but I also want to tell you who my husband is. He's a man with more master's degrees than some people have brain cells. And while they rot in the same hometown where they almost made varsity, he left his in his 20s when he could feel like there was something else out there for him. And he built schools in the Dominican Republic. He wrote education software in San Francisco. He took in abused kids in New Mexico, and he chose to start a life with me. And in that life, we graduated past gender. We don't see each other as anything other than ourselves. We're only really men when we're served at Costco, and that's on y'all. If I feel anything right now, it's sad for them. Not even for the hate even, but because they'll never know someone the way I know my husband. They will always have partnerships buried in gendered shit that they don't even see to dig themselves out of. They are in drag right now, and they won't look in a mirror. He's my husband, he's my wife, he's an ocean. He's the sunlight breaking through a canopy of trees like honey in a sieve. And if you reject the miracle of knowing him, that's on you.
I keep bumping you off, Steph. You say, no, Steph, you can't come in yet.
Do you have any idea how many people have tried to bump me off, Bree? That's not happening. Not happening.
You have the
tonight.
right to defend yourself. Yes.
I do my best.
Yeah.
Why are you bumping me off? I don't. Now I'm a little paranoid.
You worried you're gonna get bumped off now?
Yeah, I might have to check the locks.
No. I don't know if we're. Carly said she was doing the sports segment live, so.
So Carly, hello.
Are you with us, Miss Carly?
I am with you, but I figured Stephanie was going to go first.
Oh.
No, I said earlier, the only joy I have to bring to the show is my own personal joy.
I do have something.
Winning a sailboat race last night, which was so much fun.
Run it. I had a little microphone problem. Run it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Run what you're gonna need to do, and I'll be ready in 3 minutes. Everything's loaded up.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this briefly. I just did pop up in my feed. This happened in 2021, but they were sentenced today. There were two men that a pair of men were sentenced more than 25 years in prison for murdering a transgender woman. And the United States Attorney's Office, District of Arizona, announced on July 30th. Isaiah Adam Smith, 25, pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced July 28th. And the U.S. Attorney's Office said in its news release, a U.S. district judge sentenced Smith to 324 months or 27 years in prison, according to the release, for beating someone to death. No life sentence, mind you, just 324 months. Smith's defendant Trevor Joe Begay, 24, pled guilty to the same charges in September and received 365 months or 30 years in prison, said the release. In 2021, Smith and Begay murdered a woman because of her gender identity, the release said. The two men had previously communicated with the woman online where she told them she was transgender, the release said. They decided to teach the victim a lesson and arranged to meet her in the middle of the night, the release said. It says the release said at the end of every sentence. I'm going to stop reading that part, though, because it's annoying me. The two then took her cell phone so she could not call for help, drove the woman into the desert, and beat her to death. Begay beat the victim with his hands, feet, and a metal jack handle, court record said. Smith helped Begay by holding the woman to the ground and hitting her while Begay beat her. At one point, the woman tried to escape by running into the desert, but Smith chased her down and physically stopped her. The men drove the woman to a second location on the Navajo Nation and left her there until she was discovered dead later that day, according to the court records. Smith and Begay attempted to get rid of the evidence by burning the bloody clothes and the woman's cell phone. A judge ordered the defendants to be placed in Arizona prison, according to records. So this is premeditated murder. And
in many jurisdictions, that sort of thing, there was a defense available. I was tricked. You know, and you know, one of the things that struck me, Bree, when you first started reading this, was one of the defendants said, or at least the testimony was, that they were going to teach her a lesson. What lesson is learned by killing someone? How does the person you murder learn anything other than what it's like to die?
Yeah. And why we shouldn't trust people.
I mean, it's just horrible. That's why, folks, I was, sitting with my head bowed. It's just, oh my goodness, poor woman. I can't fathom the reason for such hatred. Wishing someone dead is bad enough. Actually killing someone's a whole step worse.
It's just getting worse.
And as Ember's pointing out in the chat, it's still legal. Transpanic is still legal in about 30 U.S. states, and it's getting worse.
Yeah, this another story I have here from. Let's see if I can't get it pulled up. Just a second. Oh, that's why. Yeah, this is news as well. It's just exploding. I'm afraid to walk outside. Transgender woman, friends assaulted at Barton Springs, man hurt intervening. A social media post claims that a group of men assaulted a transgender woman and her friends as well as severely injured a man who attempted to intervene at Barton Springs area on July 26th. This is from Austin. This is reported from Austin's KXAN. The Austin Police Department provided information to KXAN on the assault Tuesday afternoon, writing that its investigation is open and active. Police said anyone with information about the attack should call, and it gives the number here for you. Several local celebrities, such as drag performer Bridget Bandit, amplified the social media post and called for public help in identifying the men. The author of the post was not present during the attack, but said one of the women told him about it immediately after. The woman had been incessantly hit on the hit on by three men, he said. When the transgender woman joined her friends, things took a turn. So a group of women are out there, and there's these three men hitting on them, and then when a transgender friend shows up, then the men get aggressive. The transgender woman told KXAN Tuesday afternoon that one of her friends went to talk with one of the men just to talk to him. His first response was to point at me and say, "I don't agree with that lifestyle. It's gross," or something along those lines. And she said, then she backed off from him and told me and the guy who stepped in about it. We both got pissed and went to talk to them and ask what their issue was. Then the three men, got really loud and violent. And then, as you probably saw in the video, they attacked us. Let me see if I can find the video. I don't know if we want to see it, but there's a still from it though.
When we ask our cis allies to be there for us, in reality,
they aren't.
Be aware. It is no small ask, especially in these days. It used to be a fairly small ask, but as fewer and fewer of them showed up, it got worse and worse for those who.
Yeah, they're just getting violent now against us, and
right. And it's no small ask to actually have some courage, but and to be a decent human being.
Facts.
But now's the time. It's not time to shy away from this. This is why one needs to be forthright in their support of oppressed people, or people who are potentially marginalized, homeless people, immigrants. We need to be there for those people, even if we ourselves are in a very, very difficult position. And it's hard. It's hard.
And this is happening in freaking public is just bizarre to me. The three men started becoming aggressive towards the trans woman just for being trans, and generally escalating verbal attacks, accusing the other two girls of being trans, poking at them near their breast, etc. Transvestigating the other women because they've decided that this woman's trans. So
it's junior high school, only with fucking tire irons and guns. It's bad.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, you know how this thing works.
Unfortunately, yes, all too well.
This is that last story reminded me so much of the Shepherd story, that I
yeah. Yep.
It's
tie
just
them up to a fence.
like
Just awful. Or the young man who was trucked off a bridge in Bangor, Maine, right around the same time.
you
You cannot let this stuff keep happening, people.
You can't do. I mean, we need our friends to show up. We need our allies showing up. And not to change the topic, but I mean, there is something coming up where I live. I want to give a little bit.
Oh yeah, we can leave this right now if you got something you want to discuss.
Actually, I do. I do.
Just
before I get actually I do mention something before I get sports started. Last week, two medical centers in Connecticut, the Connecticut Children's Medical Center and Yale University Hospital have both said that they are going to start ramping down gender affirming care for patients under 19. And that will be in the case of Connecticut Children's. They've stopped it effective immediately. In the case of Yale, they're basically going to phase it out by the end of this year.
God damn it. Jesus.
And now, mind you, I live in Connecticut. It's a blue state. And on Saturday afternoon, 12 noon, at Children's Medical Center of Connecticut, downtown Hartford, there will be a demonstration. And if you happen to live in Connecticut, or if you live within decent driving distance, like we encourage you on down.
Carly, your mic is really cutting in and out and making clips and stuff. I'm sorry, but Answer just mentioned it in the chat. Yeah, it's kind of bad.
This ought to be better. How about that?
Yeah, it's way better.
Oh wow, and you look like a sportscaster there with your.
And hell, well, you know what?
Live from the locker room.
No, actually, I'm going to try that. I can try that again now. Last week, Connecticut's Medical Center for Children and Yale University Hospital both announced that they are going to be either ending or phasing out their programs for gender affirming care for youth. Connecticut Medical Center for Children is going to stop it effective like ASAP. Yale University Hospital is going to be phasing it out by the end of this year. On Saturday noon, downtown Hartford at the Connecticut Children's Medical Center, there will be a demonstration. And I'm encouraging, if you're within driving distance of Hartford, or if you live in Hartford, live in Connecticut, I'm encouraging you to show up, come up, and be a part of this demonstration. It is important that the boards of directors of these hospitals and our elected officials understand what's at stake. In the case of Connecticut Medical Center for Children, we want their board of directors that are meeting this weekend. We want them to know that we're watching you. And the reason why that both of these facilities are phasing this care out is to keep with edicts of the Trump administration that are legally non-binding. They were executive orders. They are not federal policy. They are not binding by law. So why are we doing this? Why are we preemptively complying?
Path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is not to resist. It's
exactly.
It's voluntary compliance with these horrendous edicts of a madman.
But the thing I'm trying to do is I want people to understand that we are in an emergency situation. we are in an emergency situation. We have seen this from the beginning of the Trump 2.0 to now. I was going to tape a segment today, but then I decided no. I want to speak to the people directly tonight about two important pieces in the sports world. And next week, we're working on getting an interview with Dr. Johanna Melnis from Yersinia College. She is a She is a professor of sports history and gender studies at Yersinia. And we're going to be talking about things like sex testing and some of the things that we're doing, some of the things that are happening. But tonight, we're just going to get in. Hey, you know what? We're just going to dive right in because I'm a Rockefeller of outrage tonight.
We are here to perform a gender verification test. Remove your upper clothes.
Of course, I did not. I told them it's fine. I'm a female. I don't care. If you want to see I'm a woman, I'll show you my vagina.
Sex testing in sports, a relic of the Avery Brundage era. Archaic, misogynistic, racist.
Over the next few weeks, the new regulations will be drafted and a pre-clearance test provider and process and timeline will be agreed.
It's the new policy for world athletics in 2025.
Good evening, everyone. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. That was the intro to my show, to this show, the day, March 27th, that those regulations were announced by the head of World Athletics, Sebastian Coe. Well, guess what? Those regulations will be in effect on September 1st. And those regulations will come into effect right before the track and field world championships starting September 13th in Tokyo, Japan. All world athletics, national governing bodies are to test all qualifying athletes for their countries prior to the championship. That is the regulation. Let's take a look at what these regulations mean and what they will say. The World Athletics Council has approved new regulations concerning eligibility conditions. How they're going to do it is every competing athlete in the World Championships will undergo a once in a lifetime SRY gene test. According to World Athletics, it is a reliable proxy for determining biological sex. That's the first problem I have with it. If it is really a reliable proxy, why did the International Olympic Committee remove this test in 1999? It's going to be conducted either a cheek swab, which is less accurate, or a blood test, which is slightly more accurate. These tests will be under the discretion of the individual national governing bodies. That's my second problem with this. Those tests should be standardized, number one, and number two, they should be done by independent organizations, not by the governing bodies. The test should be standardized. It shouldn't be one or the other. There should be one standard that's picked for the entire world. Now, Sebastian Coe said, quote, "The philosophy we hold dear in world athletics is the protection and promotion of integrity of women's sport. We're saying at the elite level, for you to compete in the female category, you have to be biologically female. It's always very clear to me that, and the World Athletics Council, that gender cannot trump biology." Now, what built this proposal was a working group that was put together by World Athletics. And the introduction to the show back in March 25, This policy was announced based on these findings. The findings were according to the gender diverse athlete working group, by the way, which has not publicly identified who its members are, who its expertise was, or where they got their science from. First, formally affirmed the design and goals of the female category. Second, revised the eligibility regulations so that they are consistent with the design and goals. Third, merge DSD, differences in sexual development, and transgender regulations. I'm going to get to in a minute why this is important, and this is an Achilles heel of this testing. And if the effect is to restrict opportunities for DSD athletes, adopt measures to address the reliant interests of those who are currently in the pipeline, adopt a pre-clearance requirement for all athletes competing in the female category, considered forward initiatives, including support to elite gender diverse XY athletes. Now, what are the DSD regulations? You've probably heard of them because of the Castor-Semenya rule. We talked about that on the show 2 weeks ago because of the court case in the European Court of Human Rights, where it was determined that Castor-Semenya did not receive a fair trial when she took her case against World Athletics to the Swiss Supreme Court. As a result of that decision, Castor-Semenya's contentions that the DSD rules violate her rights as an athlete and violate her human rights are still very much on the table. And with this testing mechanism being a part of those regulations, Castor-Semenya, should she win her case, could also shut this down. And that in itself is an Achilles heel of it. This could also get shut down. But there's a critical question that I need to ask Sebastian Coe in this minute. What happens when an athlete from a rich Western country gets popped? If she gets popped. All the DSD regulations as formulated post 1999 have affected only women from South Asia, India specifically. 3 Indian athletes have been hit by the DSD regulations. One of them, sprinter Dutee Chand, challenged them in the Court of Arbitration for Sport and won in 2015. And the other is Sub-Saharan Africa. So basically, Indian athletes, brown-skinned Indian athletes, and black-skinned African athletes. And of course, we've gone chapter and verse on what's happened with Castor-Semenya. But here's the big question. Let's say that Australia's Jessica Hull, a contender at 1,500 meters at the upcoming World Championships, is found to be XY. Do you really think Athletics Australia will allow her to be treated the way Castor-Semenya was treated? What if it's Keely Hodgson of Great Britain, excellent 800-meter runner? What if it's Laura Muir, the Scottish superstar at 1,500 meters and 5,000? Will they be treated the same way as Castor-Semenya? And on the other side, what if it was determined that Faith Kipyegon, who broke the world record at 1,500 meters again at the Prefontaine Classic 3 weeks ago, you can bet that the treatment that a Muir would get would be markedly different from a treatment a Kipyegon would get. Hashtag just saying. Once again, this is Sebastian Coe dipping into the same well that sex testing in sports has dipped into since the 1930s, since the early days of Avery Brundage. Trying to gatekeep exactly who is a woman. These rules are not about fairness or athlete safety. These rules are about control. Control over who can compete, control on which bodies are valid, and control over who is seen as a woman in this world and who is not. As an athlete who is a woman, I abhor this because you know how far this could go. And knowing the people that are running competitive sports and knowing the political leanings of a number of these people. Remember, Sebastian Coe, before he's the head of World Athletics, was an MP for the Conservative Party in England, and he was an MP that supported a wing of the Conservative Party that was anti-queer and considered anti-black. Hashtag just saying. And once again, warning, this is a very difficult watch, but I want to show you how far, I want to show you at the rate of acceleration we are going back in sports, how far things could go.
You're here to perform a gender verification test approved by the National Athletic Association. Event?
High jump.
Country?
Spanish.
What is your gender?
I a woman.
Since when?
Always.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Remove your upper clothes. All of it. Open your arms. Open your arms. Remove all your clothes. Turn around. Put your hand on the floor without bending the knees. Are you sure, woman?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Stand up.
It's over.
No, it's not.
But here she goes. She's on her way once again. And just to requote her, I just want to run naturally, she said. I am a woman, and I just happen to run quickly.
That's how far the rabbit hole could go. And again, I am 100% opposed to this form of testing in this sport or any sport. And World Athletics is not alone. Right now, World Boxing, the newly formed amateur governing body for Olympic style boxing, has announced that they are putting a more selective gender verification testing program together. They've already told one athlete that they must undergo gender testing before they're allowed to compete. And that athlete, of course, was Algerian gold medalist from 2024, Imani Khalif. Here's my feeling on all of it. Before we played that piece, I talked about, frankly, the racist and classist implications behind this rule. But as much as I feel I've always said that the Caster Semenya rule was archaic and racist. But I will say this. I respect the fact, at least, that World Athletics will test every athlete that competes at the World Championships. That's a good thing, because now we're going to find out. According to all the latest science in regards to the DSDs in question, chances are pretty good that you're going to have, of an estimated 1,000 plus competitors at these upcoming World Championships, you're going to have one or two. And we're going to get a clear examination, if there is that one or two, where the double standards are. Again, if one of those one or two are in the global north or the Western world, you can bet it's going to hit different. My personal feeling is that the sex verification testing that these particular governing bodies want, the IOC got rid of them in the first place for a reason. Ask Maria Patillo, a Spanish hurdler who was caught on the wrong end of a chromosome test and basically lost her career trying to prove the other case. But at another level, a woman comes into the world because of an anomaly of some type. She produces a little bit more testosterone than anyone else. Surely there are better and more humane ways to either mitigate or regulate these issues. My personal feeling is, if a person comes into the world, they come into the world. Let them compete, especially in the case of a woman who is cisgender. Now, one point. Apparently, Caster Semenya is intersex. She didn't even know it. And it was disclosed publicly without her knowledge. Her rights were completely ignored. She was treated in an inhumane fashion. And again, that's my biggest worry in all this. Who the next one will be. Because certainly there will be a next one, if you believe Sebastian Coe. When we come back to Transposition Sports now, there's a certain person in the Democratic Party that, well, Reverend Carly needs to minister to him tonight. But we'll be back on the other side of the break. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. This is Transposition Sports.
Sports, because I'm cute and I can. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Carly.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
You're muted, Carly.
And some people wanted, actually it was Anarchic Fox wanted to know. Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. Anarchic Fox, to answer your question. Answer a question about what happened with Caster Semenya. Caster Semenya had her medical records disclosed without her knowledge. And that's part of the reason why she's been fighting World Athletics for the last 11 years due to the rules that were involved. Give you a quick little flashback on what has happened just in the last few weeks. This is from Transposition Sports 2 weeks ago.
Hello again, everybody. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. Breaking news to start tonight. The European Court of Human Rights Grand Chamber upheld a previous decision saying that South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya was denied her right to a fair trial in previous actions within the Swiss Supreme Court, where she lost an appeal in 2020. The decision of the panel of 17 judges rendered Thursday voted 15-2 that the Swiss Supreme Court violated the two-time Olympic champion's human rights under Article 6, Section 1 of the European Convention on Human Rights.
Aux yeux de la Cour, les particularités de l'arbitrage sportif auquel la requérante était soumise, qui impliquait la compétence obligatoire et exclusive du tribunal arbitral du sport, exigeait que la rigueur du contrôle juridictionnel ensuite opéré par la seule juridiction ayant compétence pour contrôler les sentences arbitrales, soit le tribunal fédéral suisse, dans cette affaire, soit en rapport avec l'importance des droits individuels en jeu. Or, en l'espèce, la Cour a constaté que l'examen de la cause de la requérante par le tribunal fédéral n'avait pas satisfait à cette exigence de rigueur particulière requise dans les circonstances de l'espèce.
So that's the long and short of it. That was also the ruling that came down 2 weeks ago. Now, in the meantime, it seems that the next part of our show is brought to you by the Democratic Party. We support trans rights until you exercise them. It seems like more and more Democrats are saying, you know something, let's just throw the trans people under the bus. The latest, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and former Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Here's what Pete had to say to NPR. NPR, if you're putting stuff like this up, fine, but do me a favor, at least send me my tote bag.
On various podcasts and other platforms. Rahm Emanuel, former White House chief of staff and holder of other significant positions as a Democrat, gave an interview to Megyn Kelly just the other day, and she asked a series of questions about trans people. He ended up contradicting most Democratic Party orthodoxy about trans people, ended up by saying, agreeing with the idea that a man cannot become a woman, and then said he was going to head for the witness protection program because he was aware that some Democrats would be unhappy. What's your approach to that, and how would you try to appeal to people who disagree with you about it?
Well, I think the approach starts with compassion. Compassion for transgender people, compassion for families, especially of young people who are going through this, and also empathy for people who are not sure what all of this means for them, like wondering, wait a minute, I got a daughter in a sports league. Is she going to be competing with boys right now? Right, and just taking everybody seriously. And I think when you do that, that does call into question some of the past orthodoxies in my party, for example, around sports, where I think most reasonable people would recognize that there are serious fairness issues if you just treat this as not mattering when a trans athlete wants to compete in women's sports.
Meaning the parent who's complained about this has a case, in your opinion?
Sure. And that's why I think these decisions should be in the hands of sports leagues and school boards and not politicians, least of all politicians in Washington trying to use this as a political pawn.
When President Trump says something like no boys and girls sports, which is a phrase that they use, it sounds like you're not signing on to that.
I think that chess is different from weightlifting, and weightlifting is different from volleyball, and middle school is different from the Olympics. So that's exactly why I think that we shouldn't be grandstanding on this as politicians. We should be empowering communities and organizations and schools to.
But misgendering people's okay. Sure. All right, let's break down. Let's break down Booty Wop for a second. First off, boys playing against girls. Okay. See, Democratic politicians especially, they always do this. They never run the counter argument. They never run the counter frame. They always take the Republican frame and run with it to deconstruct it. That's the first thing you do. No, boys aren't playing against girls. Transgender girls are playing a sport and competing with cisgender girls. That's the deal. That's how this works, number one. Secondly, it seems that Pete is talking about how parents have a case. Actually, a parent may have a case, but if there's due regulations in place already, you don't. And that is the thing that cuts. It's always about this. It's always about centering cisgender people in this moment. It's always about that. With the Democrats, it's always about we center cis people in this moment. That's number one. The number two thing I've noticed about Pete is now, in a sense, once again, the Democrats are blaming transgender people and blaming transgender people who fight for their rights for their own failures as an organization trying to win elections. Now, that in itself is another thing. We'll get to that number three. But transgender people, it's funny. Transgender people are insignificant enough to throw under the bus, but we're significant enough to blame if you lose. That doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. And I understand that sports is a cheap mission kill. And once again, Pete Buttigieg is getting involved saying that government shouldn't get involved in this issue, but here he is turning around as a potential candidate for 2028, getting involved in this issue. This is the real of why he's saying this. This is designed to win Iowa and New Hampshire. Because, once again, the Democrats truly believe that the only way that they can win votes is simply put to lean just to the right enough, thinking that they're going to get moderate to center right votes. When the fact of the matter is, you're not. You're not. But that third part of this, or actually that is that third part of this, the Democrats truly believe that they can win votes by throwing marginalized communities under the bus. Although right now there is a Democratic candidate running for mayor of New York who is showing the exact opposite, that you don't need to throw people under the bus, that if you have conviction and you have beliefs, and you sell them to voters and you talk to them, you just might win. As a transgender woman who plays a sport, who is seeing a league fight her over it, it'd be nice in these times if our allies actually stood with us. But unfortunately, a lot of allies are cutting and running. And if it isn't enough that allies, or so-called allies like Pete Buttigieg, who showed in that 2-minute clip I showed you why Michael Harriet was right about him, it seems like everybody's finding it a lot easier to run for the hills. And it's bad enough that cis allies are doing it. Now we have certain pockets of transgender people who are saying, you know what, if you just moderate and assimilate, we will win our rights piecemeal. No, that's not the way it's going to work. It's not the way it ever works. But there is a certain segment of well-to-do, mostly white trans people who believe this is the case. They believe that they believe that if we just peel off the radicals and the clockies and the brickies and people who play sports and people who are a bit too out there and not normal, we'll be in a better position to bargain. No, you will not be in a better position to bargain. If anything, you'll be in a weaker position because you've done the work of our adversaries for them. You've peeled people off. And there are people who say, and it's not just about sports. Again, sports was a gateway drug, but now look at healthcare. And notice, for example, in what I told you about Connecticut, notice what the age is. Notice what they're starting to use for the age when they're talking about taking away healthcare for youth. They're not saying 18, they're saying 19. And technically, the cutoff line for adult is 18. Why 19? I'll tell you why. It makes it that much easier to start creeping that age up and go after for example, my gender affirming care. The one thing we all have to understand is that these issues are interconnected. If you think sports is separate from the rest of it, think again. It's a gateway drug. If they could use liking the Transformers as a gateway drug, they would have used that. But sports was the most effective tool, and they're using it. If nothing else, it shows it's now the time for our community to really start galvanizing and organizing. And yes, there are people who believe that you can work within the system. If you work within the systems and you're fighting the good fight, guess what? You are a part of the struggle. I can work with you. If you work outside the system or work around the systems, if you're working in community groups and mutual aid, each one teach one, bringing people together, you're part of the struggle too. We can work together, but we have to. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be about us. Because it seems a number of people are putting a few votes in Iowa and New Hampshire in primaries that don't start for more than 2 years, than what they know to be the right thing to do. The same way that world governing bodies right now are so afraid of making sure that they root out trans people and trans women specifically, that they're willing to use some cisgender women as collateral damage to do it. And just as Columbo would say, just one more thing. With the USA Track and Field championships coming up, top 3 in every event, move on to the World Championships, with the exception being defending world champions. They move through automatically. There's a certain athlete named Nikki Hiltz. They compete at 1,500 meters. They compete in women's events, but they do not identify as a woman. When you get done getting rid of trans women, you already did that. And when you get done getting rid of certain cisgender women whose biochemical and biological profiles don't meet womanhood, when do you start targeting them? Hashtag just saying. Because you know they don't correspond to that binary. But by your own rules, they're allowed to compete as they are in a particular category. How long until you go after them? Just something to think about. Hashtag just saying. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.
All right, ladies. Another one in the bag. Feel like we're we can't hear you, Steph.
Who have we bagged tonight, Bree? That was my question.
Oh, hopefully we bagged Mayor Pete because a lot of people thought he was the LGBTQ candidate, right? He was our representation. No, that's just not. No.
I said earlier when the subject came up, I've never been particularly impressed with, the brilliant young mayor of wherever the hell he was the mayor
of Whoville.
That's just never really just okay. I don't know. It's the phrase "pretty young thing" applies, but it's just, honey, you just ain't doing it for me. I mean, it's like you just ain't doing it. It ain't there.
I get it. You want to love him, PYT, pretty young thing.
The phrase "pretty young thing" was actually came into currency in the English language during the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right.
I don't know. Great show, I think.
Yeah. Another one in the bag. Yeah.
You all did all the work. I did nothing.
You had a busy week, doll.
I did a little bit of work. It's been a busy week. Besides, I just want to freelance and rant. I just want to rant, and I'm very upset.
I like when you mix it up and bring a live one to me, and I can produce. I'm actually producing and hitting buttons and stuff in the background.
My thing is, I'm I'm really upset with the Olympic Committee, the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Olympic Committee.
Listen,
I'm really upset about that because now basically Olympic sports, I'm going to say it, given the current policies of this government and how this government is deciding who can come in the country and who can't.
Oh yeah.
I would like to see the Olympics in 2028 boycotted. I would like to see a third world boycott. I'd like to see an African and Middle Eastern boycott. Because think about it. They're not going to let Iran in the country, but Iran is already in the 26 World Cup. The Iranian team is already qualified. And now they're going to say they can't get in because remember, the World Cup in 26 is in 3 countries, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. It was a common NAFTA zone bid.
Right. Venezuela too. They're for different reasons because I guess because yeah.
Oh no, now that's vulgar what they did to the Venezuela. A team from Venezuela won the Latin American zone of the Little League Senior Baseball Championship, not the Little League World Series, but the Little League Senior World Series, which is down in Alabama. They are not letting them into the country. So now those kids who won that tournament and by rights shall have the right to go, don't because the United States the United States has been trying to overthrow that government. They've been trying to overthrow the PSUV since they came to power. Yet the Venezuelan people keep voting them in. Remember, you're not a dictator. You see, if you have elections and people vote for the particular person, they won. Now, remember, before anyone says, "Oh, Maduro's a dictator," in 2015, no one was the PSOV has not disallowed any party the right to run a candidate. Do you want to know why in 2017 when they had a shot at beating, in 2018 they had a shot at beating Maduro, opposition had a shot. You want to know that why they didn't beat him? Because they didn't even run because Donald Trump told them not to. Because their American masters who's been backing coup attempts found it more important to try and violently overthrow a government than let the Venezuelan people make their own decisions. They believed Elliot Abrams' ice was colder than their own. Just a little piece of history, but the point is,
you might recall that Richard Nixon got pelted with ripe fruit when he visited Venezuela back in the day, you know.
And what happened? Then you got a U.S. backed government because what else happened during that time when Nixon went to Venezuela? Pinochet. Remember, they tried to
Pinochet was a little bit later, but what else? You know, the Venezuelan incident was prior to.
Yeah,
Fidel
that's right. That was like
he
was vice
president.
Wasn't he vice president
when
at
he
the
was
time?
vice president. Yes, he was vice president.
No, but the thing is, a democratically elected government that the United States has been trying to overthrow since 1999, and I'm just giving that history to show what the underpinnings are for those kids. These are young people. These are 13 to 16-year-old kids and are not being allowed to compete in something that they earned the right to compete in over political nonsense. Now, it's funny. All these people complain about, let's keep our politics out of sports. But then,
look,
we all know how sports is political. But my thing is, if the United States
and I
will have
probably know it better than many, and
but
I
my
can
point
tell
is
you something. Go ahead.
My point is, though,
point, okay.
All right. My point is,
give me a sec.
If we are going to disallow countries that have duly qualified to be in competitions, if we are going to disallow a certain athlete because of where they are in the world, if Imani Khalif qualifies in the Olympic boxing tournament in 2028 and they say you can't have a visa because we think you're trans, That's a human rights violation. The United States cannot, in good conscience, hold those Olympics or hold that World Cup.
Okay, to that point, I have questioned the United States' good conscience since the 1960s, because the United States, in good conscience, had no right to tell the people of Vietnam how they should govern themselves.
Exactly.
And we sent 58,000 people to their deaths for a mistake.
Exactly.
So there's that. But I also wanted to sort of pile on a little bit to your sports segment, because people need to read Maria Jose Martinez Patino's story. I post a link in the chat. Read
Thank
that
you
story.
for that.
Read that story. Read the history of why the IOC abandoned swab tests. Read that. It's for real. And I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's for real. Also, I want to talk with personal knowledge about how it works at a national governing body level. It's all very well and good to have these study groups. You mentioned World Athletics.
Yeah, World
Group.
Athletics, the diverse
US
gender
US
diverse
US
working group.
U.S. Sailing had one of those things, and I was on it.
That's right.
I was on it. I was on that study group, and we made a presentation, and we had significant support for our view that, especially in the sport of sailing, the gender thing is way below qualification for who can use the equipment, because sailing is a very equipment dependent sport. You cannot sail, whether whatever your gender or sex, you cannot sail a laser radial if you weigh a hell of a lot more than 135 pounds. So if you're a guy that can sail a laser radial and you weigh 135 pounds, maybe you'll be successful. If you're a woman who can sail a laser full rig, and I'm using the old terms because all these terms change. It's no longer a laser. It's some other thing. I can't remember what, ICAF, I believe it is now. But same boat, but different manufacturer. They got to change things every now and again. The way the rules change and all that. Well, anyway, if you're a woman who weighs 180 pounds, you can't sail a laser full rig. If you're a woman who says you just can't, you won't be competitive. The equipment, as in many sports, you're type formed, right?
Right.
You're not going to be you're not going to be a great basketball player it'd be unusual if you're a great basketball player at 5'6". Not to exclude people who've been 5'6" and have been fantastic basketball players. But sport is not fair at the outset. But it's fair within the rules, and people determine the rules. Human beings say what the rules are. And the thrust since the 98 decision, the Martinez Patino decision, since that, the arc had bent towards inclusion.
Right.
And now that arc is being reversed. And why? Because of bigotry. Pure
Exactly.
and simple.
Facts. You're not getting an argument from me.
And I can tell you that at a national governing body level, while we had significant support, including from the president at the time of the association of U.S. Sailing, we couldn't move it forward because of the politics. And you saw that in the fucking Buttigieg story. People don't wish to actually put their money where their mouth is. And if the money ain't there, the mouth isn't either. To be honest, that's the problem. There's no payoff being supportive of trans people's human dignity or rights. It requires a commitment beyond money, beyond caring about something other than your own safety, social acceptance. And you know, the irony of all of that is that our lives depend on people's social acceptance.
Tell me
People
about
do
it.
not understand. People do not understand the indignity of having to, at every single point, explaining ourselves. And they don't understand that if I were to ask someone else the exact same questions that they ask me, how come? What is that? What is that all about? I will tell them, quite honestly, I've no idea. I can't explain that. I just know it's me. And I'm asking you to do nothing more or less than accept me as me. It's not a big ask. Anyway, you had your chance to rant. Now I had mine.
Once in a while, we need to do it.
Get it out. Yes, that's what we're here for. To vent about all the bullshit that's happening in the world right now. You know.
All I know is that Saturday I have a very important demonstration to be at.
Yeah, no shit.
Because we got to protect the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Protecting the kids is protecting ourselves.
Mm-hmm. In some sense, it's protecting our memories of what it was like to be that kid.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, Stephanie, so I get it. I've been thinking about that little kid a lot. I had a replica made of that kid's first football jersey. It's right behind me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people have to realize too, is that they say there were no trans kids. This is new. No, it's not new. I was a trans kid. I just couldn't express it. We were all trans children. We just couldn't express it.
Some of us did and got really walloped because of it.
Yes.
I was one of those. Yeah.
And some of us, we knew that was going to happen. So we hid as long as we could. We protected ourselves any way we could. I protected myself any way I could. Sports is a part of it. Sports is a place where I could hide. I know I could hide, and I could hide and keep her safe. I could hide and keep me safe. That's why after transition, sports meant the world to me, because I didn't have to hide to keep myself safe anymore. I could compete as me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I upped my game a lot after
Same.
you know,
Same.
after transition. I upped my game a lot. It changed a good deal because I
God,
had
yes.
to relearn it. I mean, I had to relearn the physicality of it because I just didn't have the wherewithal to do what I could through brute force and strength. I had to learn balance and technique and lots of other things, because I just, things do change. Like I've often said, it's like if transition, if hormones didn't do anything, nobody would use them. I mean, it's just, it's just insane.
But as all three of us know, they do a lot.
Yeah, they do.
I love it. God dang it, better living through estrogen.
And better living through chemistry, as was the slogan for DuPont.
I'll admit that's where I kind of repurposed their slogan, but
yeah, there you go.
I mean, but I will say this: as bad as things are, I would not trade the investment I made in me for anything. I say it often. I will never apologize for saving my own life, because that's what I did by making the choice I made. I saved my own life.
I would not have had the last 27 years. That's the way I put it. It's like, that was the hardest, easiest thing I ever did.
Yeah. I am wearing a symbol right now of what my transition meant to me. Right now. This was a symbol of my survival. This was a not only of my survival, but my move forward. I was able to reclaim sport and reclaim it as mine. And I want some kid somewhere to have that same opportunity I did. And I want to ask the powers that be something. Is keeping me off the field going to make your world safer? I have a question. Is keeping me off the field going to make women's sports better? Is keeping me off the field going to ensure that the WNBA players who over the last 5 years have exponentially grown revenue are going to get more than 9% of it? Is keeping me off the field going to prevent another Larry Nassar from popping up in some college or some Olympic team or your high school molesting your daughter? Is that going to happen because you keep me off the field? Will your daughter have a softball field to play on that's equivalent to the new baseball, the new well manicured baseball diamond that the boys baseball team gets to play on? That's my question. Is that going to happen because you keep a trans kid off the field? We've already know the answer is no. This is not about safety or fairness. It's about control.
Exactly. And I have I'm in a position, again, the sport of sailing is primarily co-ed anyway. It's a mixed teams and all of that. But the thing that I carry in my soul is that I know that I have the support of some very fine women at the absolute pinnacle, and always have had, of this sport. Women who have won gold medals at the Olympics are dear friends. I think that the politics of this is the appearances are manipulated to, as you said earlier, Carly, that it's camel's nose under the tent. It's because of the combination of the fact that it's very difficult to understand why trans, right?
Right.
It's very difficult for people to grok that unless you happen to be trans. And even if you're trans, you might not grok it very well. But Amber, of course you'll get let back into the studio again. What the hell are you talking about? But it's like the bathrooms thing. It's a sensational trigger for people who don't think deeply or are unwilling to think deeply about any of this stuff. And it's like, and who also have a fundamental prejudice when it comes to the abilities of women in any sort of physical endeavor whatsoever. And goes back to the weaker sex and all that other bullshit. It's tied into gender roles and gender norms and all of these other things, the whole performative aspects of things and all of that stuff. It's bizarre. Hey, who let her in here?
It's Ember Bellrad.
Ah.
Hello.
Aw, there we go.
Okay, you know what? Next week I'm gonna show some plunging neckline for the people.
Yes.
Hey, listen.
I'll cheesecake it up next week just for you. I will cheese. If I could get away with it, I'd wear lingerie on this dang show, but you can't get away with it. So
I'm an old lady and I'm kind of saggy, so it's what can I tell you?
I'm thinking is this a man's chest though? I mean, that's what they're legislating here in Texas.
I know.
So why can't I get my titties out?
Yeah, we should do the Scotland protest.
Hey, that's what that swimmer over in Britain is doing. She's basically saying, fine, you're gonna make me swim as a man. Fine, you know what? Then I'm gonna look like one. And you're gonna see headlights every time I swim. Now, which is it?
Well, as much as they pretend, it doesn't even matter because when the newspapers cover the story, they still censor the chest. So whatever they say, whatever words they use, they're demonstrating by their actions they know the truth.
Yeah. And see here's what gets me when it comes down to it. It's like, don't you people have anything better to do? Seriously, do you have anything better to do? Do you have anything better to do than to mess with me?
We can't hear you, Steph.
Find another hobby would be a
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Just leave us the fuck alone.
Stamp collecting would be, one thing.
I'm just tired. I'm just tired of it all. It's like,
yeah.
All right,
I
ladies.
didn't want to be I want to play football. I didn't want to be a political football.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's scraping off of a very cogent comment from Anarchic Fox. Anyway, peoples, like us, support us, leave us comments, do something, help us out here. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be really, really cool if you'd help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really cool if you joined our Discord, if you want to interact, all that stuff. Do all the things that make the algorithm think we're not absolutely garbage. It'd be helpful. Anyway,
throw us a few. And, throw us a few dollars.
Yeah,
please.
That's helpful.
Support the channel. Share us around. Say, hey, there's a weekly news show just for trans people, to your trans friends and your trans groups.
Yeah, sure. So we're not pass us around, but I'm gonna hit the button, Bree. We're out of here.
Pass
Bye.
us around.
Good night, everybody. We'll see.